Midwest Old Threshers Reunion is an annual event in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, held in McMillan Park for 5 days ending on Labor Day each year. The reunion represents life in rural America from the late 1800s through the middle 20th century, featuring many different types of vehicles in operation, including classic cars and trucks, tractors, traction engines, trains, and trolley cars, as well as other exhibits powered by stationary steam and gas engines. We visit Old Threshers each year to take in the sights on the Midwest Central Railroad and Midwest Electric Railway. And in this video, you'll see action on both railroads from all 5 days of the 2019 reunion. The Midwest Central Railroad started operations in 1960, 10 years after the first Old Threshers reunion. The railroad runs 36-inch narrow-gauge steam and diesel locomotives with custom-built passenger equipment and vintage freight cars. Its 1 1/4 mile main line circles the grounds of McMillan Park, passing through several different areas of the reunion. The North Station is a former CB&Q depot from Hillsboro, Iowa, and brings passengers into the North Village, an 1800s-themed Wild West town. The South Station is near Old Threshers traction engines and museums, and features enough indoor trackage for storage of 2 trains. Just west of the South Station is the railroad's shop facility, where the locomotives are serviced and maintained, and where other pieces receive heavy overhauls and restoration. Engine 6 is the oldest steam locomotive on the property, built in 1891 by the Baldwin Locomotive Works, and is Midwest Central's most recognized engine. Originally operating on the Surrey, Sussex, and Southampton Railway of Virginia and the Argent Lumber Company in South Carolina, the locomotive was bought at auction by Midwest Central's founders and became the railroad's first operating locomotive during the 1960 Old Threshers reunion. Number 6 is an oil-burning 260 Mogul locomotive, but started out life as a wood burner and also burned coal prior to its major overhaul in the 1970s and 80s. Outside the shops, we get a sneak preview of 2 locomotives that'll be running later on during the reunion. Engine 14 is a Plymouth MDT diesel hydraulic locomotive built in 1965 for a 38-inch narrow-gauge line in Pennsylvania. 14 and sister unit D9 were purchased by Midwest Central in the 1990s, re-gauged to 36-inch track, and 14 entered service shortly thereafter. Its main assignment is switching cars in and around the South Station and shop area, but does pull trains when needed. Behind 14 is one of this year's main attractions, steam engine number 9, returning to Mount Pleasant after a stint on Colorado's Georgetown Loop Railroad. Built in 1923 by the Lima Locomotive Works, 9 is a 3-truck Shay steam locomotive. It operated at California's famous West Side Lumber Company until its closure, and was purchased by Midwest Central in the late 60s. The Shay design, with vertical engines running horizontal drive shafts linked to gears on all of the wheels, were popular with logging railroads that required powerful locomotives to pull trains up steep grades and around sharp turns. Over 2,000 Shay locomotives were built by Lima in both standard and narrow gauge varieties. On the west edge of McMillan Park, number 6 and its train passed the horse barns. In keeping with its tradition of showcasing all things powering rural America of the past, horses play a large role at Old Threshers, pulling wagons of passengers and also participating in the draft horse pull on Labor Day. Rainy weather brings us under the open-air waiting area along the North Depot. As passenger demand increases throughout the reunion days, a second train is brought out on the railroad. With number 9 not quite ready yet, diesel engine 14 takes the point as we see it drop down the hill and approach to the North Village. Now let's get our first look at the trolleys on Old Thresher's Midwest Electric Railway. The railway runs several standard gauge trolleys and streetcars on a route circling the campgrounds south of McMillan Park. Campers can board the trolley at one of many campground stops and ride uphill to the main Old Threshers grounds. Other visitors to the reunion take the trolley to visit the Log Village, a very popular area on the southwest corner of Midwest Electric's line. Midwest Electric's main depot is located on the south side of the Old Threshers Museum buildings, a brief walk from Midwest Central's South Station. Today we're going to ride one of 4 cars in operation this year, Peter Witt Streetcar 1945. This car was built in 1927 and operated in Milan, Italy until arriving at Old Threshers in 2002. The Peter Witt cars are very popular in Milan and many still run there today. In the coming days, we'll see a lot more activity on the Midwest Electric, but for now, let's return to the Midwest Central Railroad. Standing on the hill before the North Village, Shay number 9 has been let out of the yard and makes some laps around behind trains. Some more adjustments are necessary before the engine will pull its own train. During the last go-around, number 6's train had some brake issues going down the grade before the North Station, causing minor damage to some of the front cars. These two cars have been set out on a short siding leading into the South Station. Number 6 then backs down to the remainder of its train. Taking the cars to the shop for repairs is Midwest Central's gas switcher FS2. This little locomotive was built by the Vulcan Iron Works in 1935 for the Frederick Snare Corporation in West Virginia. In Mount Pleasant, the FS2 performs light switching duties in the yard. At the North Village, we're ready to climb aboard 14's train for a round-trip ride on the railroad. Gunslinger shows are some of the most popular events taking place daily at the North Village. Every couple hours, bandits jump aboard a Midwest Central train and rob the passengers, but must face the law in a final showdown when the train reaches the station. Let's find out what happens this time as number 6 and his train approach.
Return with us now to the thrilling days of yesteryear.
Attention, railroad traffic is approaching.
It's the second day of the Old Threshers Reunion as we take another ride on the Midwest Electric Railway. This time we ride on open-air trolley 1779 to the Log Village. This is one of 2 open-air trolleys in Mount Pleasant, built in 1911, and was part of a fleet of similar cars running in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil until the 1960s. At the Log Village, Midwest Electric passengers disembark to find themselves in an old frontier town, as volunteers reenact the day-to-day life and activities of Western settlers from the 1800s. Attractions here include woodworking and blacksmith shops, an old-fashioned candy store and inn, a school, town hall, and a log barn with farm animals. The medicine show takes place several times per day and always attracts a crowd.
They will believe that you own an invisible ball. And don't be surprised if you hear one of them say, "I can say it. I can see the ball." And if he says that, you just reach in and show him that, yes, you do use an invisible ball. With the bag. I'm going to take my bottle. Put my bottle in the bag. You see that go in there? The bottle goes into the bag. I'm going to make it disappear right before your very eyes, and you're going to help because I'm going to teach you the magic words. in Latin. So I want everybody to repeat after me in Latin and say, Nimbo cumulus. Nimbo cumulus. Corpus delecti. Corpus delecti. Habeas corpus. Habeas corpus. Corpus Christi. Corpus Christi. E pluribus unum. E pluribus unum. Semper fidelis. Semper fidelis. Et tu brute. Et tu brute. Carpe burrito. Carpe burrito. Ad nauseam. Ad nauseam. There. You did it. It's gone. It's disappeared. It's gone. Yeah, it's gone. See? Yeah, isn't that neat? You're not impressed. You're not impressed.
He don't care. It won't spell you, but he don't care.
The trolleys of Midwest Electric make their stops at the Log Village station. Interurban car 320 will take us back to the main depot as we complete another ride aboard the Midwest Electric. This car was used on the Chicago, Aurora, and Elgin Railroad until it discontinued passenger service in 1957. as the day winds down, we enjoy some more scenes on the Midwest Central. Today, Engine 9 is in charge of a train, along with Engine 6. On Old Thresher's third day, we see more Midwest Central action as engines 6 and 9 pull their trains around the grounds in the afternoon. The Old Threshers Reunion is home to many other classic steam engines of all shapes and sizes. The steam Powerhouse features several working stationary engines. In the days before the modern power grid, these types of steam engines were used to generate electricity for industries and businesses. They were also used as a means to power other machinery through a belt drive system. Such is the case here, with a steam engine powering a number of woodworking tools. Also on display are several working scale models and are powered by steam just like their full-size counterparts. Another area at Old Threshers is Printers Hall, featuring old steam-powered printing presses and other machines. The hall prints its own newspaper, as well as signs and notepads that are available to buy. On the reunion's fourth day, we see Shay number 9 pulling the first train of the day out of the South Station. In the yard, Diesel 14 is switching its sister unit, D9, to a nearby siding. The D9 is currently undergoing a restoration and is expected to be running in the near future. 14 will take charge of the second train for the beginning of the day. As we ride aboard 9's train from the South Station, we get a passenger's point of view of one of the day's train robberies.
She's just walking over.
I don't want to get on the
You can have
Let's take another ride on Interurban Car 320 to see more of the Midwest Electric. Midway Station, formerly named Lakeview, is at the approximate halfway point on the Midwest Electric Railway. This is one of 4 stops on the line that are primarily used by campers to easily access the main Old Threshers grounds.
Yeah, we'll have to get the generator down and transfer it back to the tender of the 6. We'll probably...
Streetcar 1945 will take us back up to the main depot. As we visit Old Threshers on the 5th and final day of the 2019 reunion, we'll take in some more sights of Midwest Electric's cars as they run on the northern leg of the railroad. Inside Midwest Central's South Station, the second train is waiting to be picked up by Engine 6. On another siding, we see a pair of boxcars acquired from the Georgetown Loop Railroad in Colorado, cars that originally operated on Rio Grande's narrow-gauge lines in the Rocky Mountains. Steam engine number 16, a German 040 coal-burning tank engine, has been stored inside the South Station for many years. This locomotive is operable but is awaiting a thorough boiler inspection before it's used again. Since its acquisition in the 1980s, 16 has seen a number of years of operation here in Mount Pleasant until it was taken out of service in 2011. We've had a great time enjoying another year at the Midwest Old Threshers Reunion. The Midwest Central Railroad and Midwest Electric Railway offer a wonderful trip back in time to the days when travel by train was commonplace in rural areas. This is Bobby Harvey, and I thank you for watching.